Booni and Joe Sports Channel proudly present Respect Women 110% T-shirts. These shirts come in 4 different colors: blue, pink, green, and yellow. These shirts cost exactly $25 US and Canadian. With each purchase, $5 will be donated to the Women's Breast Cancer Research Awareness. And don't forget, every Saturday night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, go to YouTube and search up Joe Sports Channel to catch up on new sports news and any special guests that may appear. And if you want to purchase more merchandise, go to joebooney48.wixsite.com/merch.
Welcome to Joe Sports Channel. You can follow me on Joe the Fighting J on Instagram. You can follow me on Taker Devil One, hashtag Joe Sports Channel. Ladies and gentlemen and boys and girls of all ages, it is December 26, 2020, and I hope everybody is having a fantastic day today. My beautiful people, please welcome in from Australia, the one and only Edward Z. How are you, my friend?
Joe, it's an honor to be here, and what an amazing channel. I got to say, I love Canada, and I love Canadians, and I love Michael J. Fox.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. How is the pandemic treating you, Edward?
Look, to be honest with you, we've had it very lucky in Australia. We've got a really effective government, and they've done a good job of containing it. And in fact, actually on that note, we actually traveled interstate. I'm actually doing this interview from my parents' house in the south of Australia. And we just got into the border 2 hours before they closed it. So I'm very lucky.
Wow. Well, never heard of that. Pretty good. That's pretty good. You're at your parents' house broadcasting. I'm in Canada and you're in Australia. That's pretty phenomenal.
And as you know as well, Australia's nicknamed Hot Canada. We're just the same as you guys. We're just hot here.
I know it's hot down there. My friend, I have a lot of great questions to ask you. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come on the show. I really appreciate that. This means the world to me, Edward. It really does. My first question is, what is it like doing business down under?
Look, it's identical to anywhere in the world, to be honest with you. Over half of our clients are from outside of Australia, a lot from Canada and North America and the Middle East. And it's just, at the end of the day, I find it quite identical. The biggest thing that the whole pandemic taught me was that sometimes working with someone, 10,000 miles away is pretty much no different to working with someone, 10 kilometers away from me. I think it's identical, actually. That's been my experience lately.
Wow. So you're telling me it doesn't matter if somebody's 10,000 miles away, 10,000 kilometers away, that person can be next to you. It's the same thing?
Especially since in 2020, I think the pandemic, not just my opinion here, by the way, Joe, but since 2020 especially, it's really normalized how we do relations. And I think in a way it's really broken down, even though we physically can't travel because of border restrictions and that, in a way it's really normalized business relations. Because again, I can be talking to someone in London, a client in London, then immediately a client who lives down the road, and it feels like the same experience. So I don't know, I have the viewpoint that doesn't matter where people are people. And at the end of the day, I'm finding no difference.
Wow, impressive. I've never heard of that. So thank you. You know what? You learn something every day, Edward. You learn something every day. So I guess next time when somebody is from Hong Kong, if I haven't, I'll say the same thing like you said. Thank you for answering that question. Great. My next question is, when did you realize the incredible powers of social media? Because social media is a big platform. You know, it's huge.
Yeah, look, I've been playing with social media for 10 years, and I never really got anywhere until I really got it. And this isn't a judgment of social media. This is more about me. It took me a long time to really find my place in social media. And for me, LinkedIn ultimately is the home for me. So I tried a lot of different things. And it wasn't until I really got into LinkedIn about 2 years ago was when I took off and became a big global influencer. So I found, for me, especially in the past 2 years, it's just been a exponential curve of winning, which I've been really happy about and grateful for.
See, when you open LinkedIn, you ever thought you're going to be this big one day? You ever thought that you believed in yourself? Because a lot of people don't believe in themselves. But, you know, I have those good people around me that believe in myself, and I believe in them. Did you ever have that belief one day I'm going to have actually 500 plus connections on LinkedIn? What went through your mind when you first opened it?
Well, the answer is no, I did not have that belief. And interestingly, 2019 was the year I really took off, and especially 2020. And I've actually had to go through quite a few mindset issues because now I'm used to it, so I don't care anymore. But for a while there, getting used to the popularity really messed with my head. Like, oh my God, like people were recognizing me in the street. In fact, you know, I live in Sydney, Australia, and right now we're visiting Melbourne where my parents are. And I've had people in the streets of Melbourne recognize me.
Yeah.
And yeah, from a different city. And the point I'm making is that I'm used to it now, but for a few months there, it took me a while to get used to it because, hang on, I don't deserve this. What's going on? So it's basically undoing the poisonous mental habits I was holding on to.
It's called the belief in you. You had faith. You kept trying. You know, you kept trying. I'm 3 years old. My dream is to become a professional broadcaster. Always wanted a YouTube channel. I kept digging. You might have that negative people beside you, but believe me, that positive vibe is right there, and you're going to keep moving forward and keep marching forward. And that's what I believe myself. I always say one of my biggest quote is, Alhamdulillah, I'm living this good life. I'm breathing on God's time, making it with one breath. Anything is possible in life if you do it the right way, Edward. You know.
Oh, I think it's well said, Joe. And look at you. I got to say, I love all your baseball caps. I'm glad I wore my veterans cap today.
I like that. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Thank you very much. I've collected these over the years and have a lot of friends that have given them to them over the years, especially my birthday and all that, and I can't be more blessed.
If I can ask you a difficult question, and you probably can't answer this, but which is your favorite hat?
Actually, I'll bring it to you.
Hey.
Where is it? Right here. So I am a Blue Jays fan, but this is my favorite hat. This one.
Oh, no way.
Los Angeles Dodgers winning the championship. I don't know. Every time I wear it with my nice red outfit, like my Adidas outfit in Jordan, it really looks good on me. This is one of my favorite hats. You know?
Oh, there you go. I'm impressed you could answer that question. I thought you were going to throw it. So,
I like a lot of hats, but that's my favorite one today. Like, I love that very much. When they won the championship, I went on MLB.com and I ordered it right away. You know, so when teams win, Booni wins as well. You know,
there you go.
What's been your greatest challenge in life?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge has been me and has been staying consistent. So these days I'm considered I'm a very strong-willed character with a high constitution these days. It's true, it's observable. I was not that person 10, 15 years ago. I used to be, I won't say weak-willed because I wasn't, but I'd always get thrown off psychologically. In other words, I'd have a knock, a bit of negative feedback, and I'd always mentally crumble. So my biggest challenge in life, which I've really been working on overcoming in particular the past 2 years, has been, I used to be very weak-willed, and overcoming that and becoming strong-willed and building my constitution, that has been a real liberating experience. And that's one of the reasons why I've really taken off, is because it's not just I've got all the strategies down pat, but building my psychology and constitution. Again, you're a sports guy, so I know you deal with this stuff day in and day out.
It's not easy. It's not easy as you sound. And, you know, before this pandemic hit us all in this country, was 2019 a better year for you physically and mentally? For work,
2020
family? 2020 is better?
Yeah, yeah. 2020 was, and talking to my wife and I, who also work with Lassie's here, big shout out to Lassie. 2020 was our moment of triumph. That was the year that made us big. Wasn't 2019 was more the foundation. 2020 is when we became big shots.
Oh, 2020. 2020 is an interesting year. Like I said, anything is possible. Seriously, you don't know what's going to happen, you know? A team can be trailing 30-7 in the third quarter. Hey, that's possible to come back. In 2019, you wouldn't see those comebacks. But in 2020, we see those comebacks like that. And I got to tell you, my friend, I love that hat on you. I love that hat on you. You know?
Well,
can you bring that closer so people can see it?
Yeah, so what it is this is my veterans cap, which I bought from the National War Memorial in Canberra, Australia. And for our friends around the world, Canberra is basically our Washington, D.C. It's our capital. So it's a veterans cap. And if you look closely, that's the Australian Army logo.
Really
and it's crown it. We're part of the unlike those traitorous Americans, we never threw out the red coats. We kept them, so we're still British at heart. So you can see the crown in there and everything.
I really liked that. How many years did you serve?
Served for about 3 years and a bit, and it was a mixture of the Australian Army as well as the AFP, seconded to them, which is the Australian Federal Police. A little bit like the FBI in American terms.
Oh boy, I got. This is a top guy on the show tonight.
Better example is actually DEA. I'll take back FBI. I'll say DEA. It's more drug enforcement I was doing. So I'll say a bit of FBI, but more DEA. That's the sort of stuff that I was doing.
Now, going into the Army yourself, before you went into the Army, did you ever say to yourself, is this the right choice for me? Like, why did you do that?
At the time, I was very positive about it and very excited about it. It was a good move, even though I almost got killed and it almost destroyed my life. It was still a very good move, which I stand behind.
Good for you. Thank you for your service. I really appreciate that. You know,
thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Anytime, man. You know what, man? You're a gift from God, and I have so much respect for you. You know, seriously, I really do. The next question is, when did you realize you want to be a master influence? Because you are pretty damn big in the master influence. You know, you're influencing me. You're inspiring me day in and day out, buddy.
Yeah, look, it was a process. So very long story short, I made quite a few mistakes in life, and I had a bit of PTSD, as in post-traumatic stress disorder, catch up with me in my late 20s, early 30s. And that led to me, I actually spent a bit of time as a homeless veteran. So that led to my whole life sort of collapsing, a very, very big reset button. And what happened was, when I sort of came back in life, I started off as a local business coach working Sydney. And over time, I morphed from business coach. Naturally, I went on from just being a generic business coach, albeit I was doing quite well at that, to eventually I always fell in love with the influencer. I've always been driven to the influencer side of things. And eventually, about 2 years ago, I rebooted myself more from going on from business coach to global influencer coach. And it was just a natural evolution and something I've always been drawn to. I really enjoy the influencer marketing space and helping people become influencers. That was always my big niche and thing. And yeah, about 2 years ago, I moved on from the business coaching and focused on the influencer side of things.
And how many years have you been a master influence for?
Master influencer, in all honesty, I'll say 2 years, in all honesty. Wow. Even though I've been in business for 10 years, I'll just say a year, to be honest with you. Probably about a year ago, I'd look you in the eye and say, yeah, I'm a master persuader and influencer, where before that, I was still sort of finding myself. So probably about a year ago, I'd say a lot of people would disagree with me. A lot of people have said to me, no, Ed, you're wrong. 5 years ago, you're a master influencer. But I guess the answer I'm trying to say is, even though other people thought I was a master influencer, I didn't feel it. And I'm the sort of guy that unless I feel something, I don't believe it.
Wow. See, being a master influencer, it takes a lot out of you. It's not easy, you know what I mean? You know, I always say to yourself, to believe in yourself and to be honest, you have to really have faith in yourself. You can't just go out of the way and start talking all this positive thing if you actually don't mean it. You know, it's like in a relationship. You can't love that girl or you can't love that guy if you can't love yourself. So going back to my point, being a master influence, you got to love yourself first. You really do. You know?
And talking to sports, and this is why I love sports so much, is that what I mean is I'm not a sports guy per se, but I love the idea of sports and that there's no lying in sports. At the end of the day, if you're not good at baseball or football, you're not going to survive. There's no amount of spin that will get you out of it, right? And the biggest thing that I found is that, you know, it's like that being an influencer. You can only lie for so long. If you're lying, you can only keep it up for a few months at the most. You're eventually going to get caught out. You can't. I find you can lie for a short amount of time, but you can't lie for very long until people realize there's inconsistencies in your act.
And, you know, they always call it the big fat liar. If you've ever seen that movie, you should go check that on Netflix. You know? Let me ask you a question. As a master influence, why do people lie so much? Is it because they don't have no self-esteem in them? What is it exactly?
It's a whole combination of factors, actually. A lot of people who lie have spent their whole lives lying, right? They would have been lying since the age of 5, right? It's just part of their pattern. And it's like, you would have heard this before. And I'm the antithesis of this statement, is the whole fake it till you make it logic. It's appalling, it's terrible, it's inauthentic, it's lying. We stand against the whole fake it till you make it. It's disgusting. And I think a lot of it comes from, ultimately it comes from people who lie all the time are usually talentless at heart, right? And their lying is actually their talent, right? So, you know, and that's what they found.
What's up? Go on. Lying's a talent?
Yeah, well, what it is.
Lying's a talent.
You have some people they're just average people. They're average to below average people. They're not very good at what they do, but they find lying is something they're very good at, and they turn lying into an art form where they can lie to anyone. And you see it anywhere. And what I love about the sports field is you can't lie on the sports field very well.
You can't lie.
Now, I hate to bring this one up, but I got to call the elephant in the room. And by the way, Serena from the tennis world, right? Serena from the tennis world. Now, I like Serena. I'm a big Serena fan. I always have been a big Serena fan. However, but that whole stunt she pulled when she lost to that Japanese lady, no. Did not buy it. A lot of people didn't buy it.
She took it really hard. She really did.
I think, and by the way, I love Serena. I say this with maximum respect, but a lot of her fans, me included, I think she split her fans. Half of her fans backed her. Half of her fans said, I like you, but I'm not with you on that one, because I think that was a temper tantrum moment where she threw out the spirit of sports.
So do you think she kind of wrecked her publicity, her career?
Absolutely.
Just by that moment.
I wouldn't say that she wrecked her whole career. She's very successful. What I mean is that it was a moment of her not being a graceful loser, and it haunts her to this day. So I think it was a huge stain on her otherwise public record. That's what I think it was. And the reason why I bring that up is that and by the way, I hate losing as well. I'm not blaming her for being angry at losing.
I hate losing as well. I don't think anybody likes losing.
But what I mean is, you know, when she came out that way against another, some Japanese woman she was playing, that did not get seen well because it kind of tarnished what she's all about. She's a tough lady who's absolutely brilliant. And I think that behavior was so active and out there, it really worked against her image. Because I actually like her, right? I'm saying this in support of her. I think she's an amazing lady. And I found myself doing a lot of damage control for her, saying, look, she had a weak moment. But the point I'm making, though, is that, what I like about the sports field is the sports field does not allow, you can't lie your way out of a bad game on the sports field, is what I'm trying to say.
See, Edwards, in the sports field, losing is very tough. Now, watching the World Juniors hockey, the kids on the ice, the tournament that goes on, you want to win gold. You don't want to get silver. Yeah. You don't want to get second place. You don't want gold. You want to get the gold. And I think it was last year, one of the Sweden or Russian players, I don't remember what it is, but I reckon the guy took off his silver and threw it in the audience. Like literally took it up and threw it in the audience. And I'm saying to myself, man, people dream of playing in the gold medal. I don't care if you're first or second, but you do not do that. You just do not do that. You threw your medal to the audience. Like, that was unacceptable. That's when I kind of lost respect for that guy. That's a sore loser, I'm sorry to say.
To be honest, now defending Serena and defending your Russian friend, right? Did you say Russian, right?
Russian. Yeah. I think it was Russian.
So say your Russian friend and Serena. Now I'm going to defend him. I kind of get it, because if you've spent your whole life preparing for something and you put your all into it and you get your ass kicked, I get it. You're going to lose it. You're going to have bad moments, right? You're going to go, I get it. I suppose what I'm trying to say is I actually don't blame Serena for her reaction, because I'm the sort of guy that would melt down too. What I'm more saying is that on the sports field, you can't spin your way out of a losing game.
Yeah, no, you can't. And I want to pull that up. I just want to take a look.
Yeah, do it.
It's really interesting.
I don't blame your Russian friend or Serena. If I lost to some Japanese woman, I'd be pissed off too. I don't blame Serena one bit.
You throw the medal to the audience. One of the fans can take a picture, put it on Twitter.
I hate to say it. I'm going to be honest with you. I know I'm going to lose all the respect of your viewers. I'm a bit of a sore loser. I kind of get Serena. I'm not going to be honest with you. I'm a bit like that. I'd be
Hey, it's whatever you believe in, man. You believe what you believe.
I would come out and what I would do though is I would apologize the next day. So the next day after I go,
that moment, ooh, Edward Z, folks.
I would be, but the next day I would come out. I'd be like Bill Clinton, head down, Monica Lewinsky style, apologizing. Absolutely.
Trust me, when I played for Central, when I played for the Thunderbirds, we were all about winning until that last moment when we got dismantled. Man, yeah. I was blacked out. I was so depressed. I was so emotional because I knew everything. I knew everything but winning, and I know nothing about losing. When I lost my first game, man, it hits a toll. It really hits a toll on you.
The thing is, and I've said this publicly in a lot of events. I've spent a lot of my life losing. Most of my life has been losing. I've spent most of my life a loser. Not anymore. I'm a winner now. And the thing is, I'm actually used to being a loser. And the biggest thing is that, and Stallone says this very well. That's why I'm a huge Stallone Rocky fan, right? Is that, oh yeah, obviously you're a sports guy. Of course you're going to love Rocky. Is how he, and it's not just Rocky, it's how Stallone defines success. Stallone doesn't define success as how big your house is or how many millions in the bank. Yeah. He defines it as in how quickly you can get up after being defeated.
Rocky Balboa. Rocky 4, I think the Russian one was my favorite one.
Yeah, Drago. Was it Drago?
What was your favorite one?
If he dies, he dies. Yeah. That was more of an it was probably that. Actually, to be honest with you, and I'm going to sound a bit weird here, I actually like Rocky 1 and I like Rambo 1, First Blood 1, because
the best. You can't go.
Because the first Rocky is more of an emotional journey into Rocky himself, where I find the other films are more just cheesy sports films.
And a lot of them are. Rocky Balboa it wasn't just boxing. It was everything was in it. Like, you can say whatever you want. It was in that movie, in every single one. And that's what I loved about Rocky, especially when he was running down in Philadelphia when they were filming down there. And it was awesome. But let me pull that video up. I want to see that video. Because
and while you pull it up, I know this is not a sports film, but one of my favorite sports films is Revenge of the Nerds.
Revenge of the Nerds. Never heard of that. Can you get that off?
Nerds, classic 80s film. It's a bunch of nerds fighting the jocks, and they defeat the jocks.
I gotta watch that. I gotta watch that.
Poindexter's from Revenge of the Nerds. You got it there? That's funny. Yeah, Revenge of the Nerds is great. Great film from the 80s. I'm going to start talking about Police Game. But no, Rocky's awesome. But First Blood Part 1 is the best Rambo, I have to say. I know it's not a sports film, but while we're on the topic.
Keep talking. I'm just trying to search this thing up, my friend.
The Russians say, silver is pathetic. In the Soviet Union, we only get gold. I don't know. It's fine. Terrible Russian accent. I actually got a lot of Russian clients, and they say I've got high cheekbones. They say I've got a bit of Russian in me. I'd love that. If he dies, he dies.
I would never pull that off. I would never pull it off. You do look Australian. I do see a little bit of Ukrainian in you. I do see a little bit of Ukrainian.
I
do. I take this as an insult. I don't know. I do
love it.
Yes.
He's so one of my actual very good clients and friends. She's a very attractive Ukrainian lady, Australian Russian lady, and she does the best American impersonating a Soviet 80s cheesy accent.
Really?
Like, we will crush the American capitalistic pig. I don't know. I'm into that.
Okay. I got it up. I just want to see your reaction. Because you said
So what have you got?
I want to see this. Again, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it, buddy.
I got to see this. Ooh.
It's actually Sweden. Sorry, I was wrong.
And time now for the presentation of the silver medals. Frank Gonzalez, the co-chairman. Team Sweden with its silver medals. Please welcome event co-chair, Mr. Frank Gonzalez.
Ooh.
The Swedes have won gold twice in this tournament. In 1981, Lance Anderson just threw a silver medal over the glass.
It's ice hockey. Of course, Swedes are going to win.
Listen to the commentators.
That's not right.
Look, the fan has it.
Got the gold medal. Never got the silver medal. We talk about it so often, Ray, that you win bronze and lose the silver, but I know they're kids. I know they're young, but they're not that young.
I used to be that young. I'm an old man now.
There he is.
When the kid's in tears, I get it. I feel
Poor guy.
every year when I watch a team lose, I feel terrible for them. But that's just not the whole package of what sport is about.
Look, he had it. You know?
Well, good for him. I love his passion.
Yeah,
Feeling it.
we got to argue after about this.
Oh, they're the business people?
Bring back 6 players alone.
These are like coaches and all that.
Okay, yeah.
Coach, family members.
They're one heck of a hockey team. They really are. They played their hearts out. Great hockey nation.
You just don't do that. In front of thousands of people watch, millions, yeah. All of Canada wide.
The second that thing left his hand, he's probably like,
So are they Sweden, the losers?
I understand, so.
What'd you say?
Oh, where was the? Did I? I missed the. Did he throw the medal? Did I miss it?
It was like at the beginning, he just chucked it like this.
Oh yes, yes,
yes. So it's just going back to your thing on you were saying. You think that was a good choice? What he did?
No. Look, it was an appalling choice. He shouldn't have done it. However, I can't, and that's why I'm actually defending Serena Williams here. Is I get the reaction. Like, let me give you this answer. I don't blame them for reacting in that moment that way because you're emotionally devastated with millions of people watching. I get it. I kind of get the meltdown, right?
Yeah.
The bit that I will say, though, is you kind of expect an apology the day after. So in the case of Serena Williams, I didn't actually blame her reaction. When, she went off and had a meltdown on court. What I had a problem with, though, is how she doubled down in the press conference the next day or whatever. That I had a problem with.
So it was more the press conference, yeah.
Yeah, because I get it. You had a meltdown. Some Japanese lady kicked your butt and you lost. You're annoyed. Yeah, I get it. All for that. But what I didn't like was the day after how she kept doubling down. That, and I think that's a bit where that lost her a lot of fans, or at least got a lot of fans to lose that intense love for her.
Yeah, absolutely. Serena Williams is #1 tennis player, probably women's in the U.S. Okay, she's phenomenal. She's great. Now, tennis is a hard sport. Now, have you ever played tennis in Australia? Is there a big competition down there for tennis in Australia? What's the biggest sport?
Oh, the biggest sport probably in Australia, I would say, is rugby. So Australians into rugby and football, like an Australian version of it called AFL. But Australia is more of a rugby sort of culture. That's the sort of place that we are.
It's a rugby place. See, rugby league is it's a tough game. It's a tough game. It is, it's one of the toughest games out there. It's not the NFL. You're not wearing anything. You just got to be tough and going. You got to start hitting and get that ball to that net. Yeah. Now I see always on your website all this good food you eat on your website.
Yeah.
Like Australian food. What kind of food is it?
Well, it's a bit of trivia for you, actually. And I say so. I've got a lot of wonderful Latino clients around the world. Australians, we're actually into Mexican.
Really?
I've had a lot of people come from all parts of the world. When they come to Sydney, the first thing I notice is, man, there's Mexican places everywhere. You guys are really into Mexican. So there you go. We're all Mexican buffs down here.
Wow. Would never thought of that. Now, what's
Mexican is so in Australia, we all eat Mexican food, Indian food, and Chinese food. There you go. We're a very diverse country when it comes to food.
Wow, that is a deserved stuff. Now, what's the biggest? What's the most popular dish in Australia?
Well, in terms of Australian, it would be something like shrimps on the barbie, like prawns on the barbecue, or a good Australian steak. They'd be the two classic Australian dishes if I had to point at an Australian dish.
Interesting. Well, if I ever come to Australia, you know where to take me, because I would love to come to Australia. And I would be
absolutely. And that's the thing. Steak in Australia is some of the best of the world. And on a funny note, a bit of trivia for you. Right now, because Australia is quite closely allied with America. So whatever America does, Australia just follows suit, right? Rightly or wrongly. And me saying that will upset some people, but that's just the truth of the matter, whether you like it or not. And right now, because America's fighting with China, we're fighting with China. And China's not buying our seafood anymore, so all our seafood prices are crashed. So us locals are eating lobster and stuff.
Lobster and that.
Yeah.
See, when I go to the grocery store, I get the shrimp bag. It's about $20 at Metro, just around the corner. Go for my usually nice walk in the morning. And it's $20, and it comes from Argentina. Really good fish. And I'm saying to myself, you're paying the extra $10 to get really good shrimp than getting, something that does not taste as good as the other one. Like China shrimp, it's all right, but compare the Australian shrimp, there's no comparison. It's like a hamburger, a homemade hamburger or your hamburger from McDonald's. I'd rather eat a homemade hamburger from my grandmother's kitchen, So going back to my point is, everything you pay more, and you pay more for that price to get better selection, better combo, and that's what I love about food in general. Food's my life, eat, sleep, food, sports, you can't get that.
And the food in Australia is incredible. And we're very lucky, you've got a great climate, you've got a lot of land. And also as well, you've got Australians are very red-pilled sort of characters. And we know we're being swindled from a mile away. So we're very good at holding our politicians accountable.
Really?
Yeah. In fact, what happened a few years ago? Right now, we've got a very strong prime minister, and the way it works in Australia is you can be a prime minister forever if you want to. There's no term limits, right? Our prime minister is probably going to be in for a long time, but before that, we went through like 4 prime ministers in 4 years because Australians kept throwing out poor leaders. We're like that.
Yeah.
So if you have a bad prime minister, they actually get the people throw them out.
Like, what do you mean? They vote on it?
The way it works in Australia has a British system of politics. So what happens is that you have 2 major parties you have like the right wing party and the left wing party in Australia, like in Canada and America, right? You're right wing, left wing. I'm on the right wing, but whatever. And what happens is that if a leader gets too popular, the party will actually throw out that leader themselves, because if they don't, they're going to lose the next election.
That's interesting. Never heard of that. How many years has that been going on for?
About 180, maybe.
Wow.
220. Wow. No, 200 plus. As long as Australia, that's our system. So I'll give you an example. In America, it's very hard to throw out a president. It's very hard, very, very hard to throw them out. In Australia, it's actually very easy to throw out a prime minister. Very easy. So if the prime minister lacks popularity for too long, their own party will turn against them, because the party ultimately wants to preserve itself. Because again, if you're a party and you run same in all countries, if you're a political party and you're running a bad leader for too long, you're not going to win the next election.
That is very interesting.
Yeah, you're not going to win. Not going to happen.
Do you like that? Do you like that decision they do?
Well, in a way, it's a good thing, because what it does is that, let's say you get a really bad tyrannical leader, it gives the people more control in throwing out bad leaders. Because ultimately, look, if you have a leader that is not following the will of the people, they're going to be unpopular, right? It's going to be unpopular, right? And it gives like a steam valve. It gives a safety valve. It gives the people a means of influencing the party to throw out an unpopular leader. I think it's a great thing. And again, be it we've had left, and I'm not being a tribalist here. We've had bad right-wing leaders and bad left-wing leaders thrown out by that mechanism. I think it's a good thing. It's a good safety mechanism, because the last thing you want is the tyranny of democracy. You have this person you voted in, and this person does an incompetent job of ruling over you for years. No one wants that.
Wow. So it's about the people finally. It's about the people finally. You know, that's
well, it comes down to the old paradigm, and this is sort of right versus left wing. You know, right wing politics is very much the people control the government, where left wing politics is the government controls the people. They're two very different paradigms of reasoning. You know, and I'm fully in the right wing. You know, the people control the politics. Yeah, and the more control the people have, the better off it is.
So let me ask you this question about that New Zealand, the terrorist attack. Do you remember that terrorist attack with the mosque?
Oh, yeah, absolutely appalling. You know, disgusting.
I thought at times this guy's going to get off. I really thought so, because, you know, the rules down there are totally different. But then they had about maybe a few months ago, maybe almost about a year ago now, I think they sent him for, is it life there? Is it death? How does it work down there? The Constitution, like that kind of crime, killing more than 30 people?
It was a disgusting hate crime. And their Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, she's a very, very good leader, and I think she responded beautifully to it. They responded in a very compassionate and very appropriate way without stirring up more tensions.
My friend, when I saw that, I was sick for days. I couldn't even. It broke my heart. Like, guys filming, making a Facebook video, a live feed, and doing that. Like, some people, I just sometimes don't understand. How do they get their license? You know, how do they get all this kind of stuff? These guns and all this. Where do they get?
I can answer that very easily. So
I can understand, and a lot of people can.
Yeah, extremism often occurs when people live in bubbles for too long. That's how extremists occur, right? Oh. And that's one of the reasons why I'm against censorship. So, for example, if you look at a lot of the platforms like Twitter, for example, is really into censorship, right? If you don't have, be it your left or right, they're censoring everyone. If you don't have a mainstream viewpoint, you're kind of off the platform. Be it they close your account, or they just algorithmically, shut you down, right? Again, left or right people. I'm not being a tribalist here. I'm being, if you're outside of the Overton window, you get kicked off or deranked. Yeah. The thing that's interesting about that whole experience that you see on those platforms is that when you censor people, you actually create extremism. Because I'll give you an example. Let's say I jump on Twitter and I say some weird, horrible stuff. Yeah. Everyone's going to beat me down, rightfully so, right? And that gives me a chance to moderate my views and saying, well, hang on, maybe I shouldn't think that. I'm wrong. I'm going to change. That's what it allows to do. However, if you censor me and kick me off the platform, I'm going to go and find people that are as crazy as like me, and we're going to form what's called an echo chamber. And in an echo chamber, everyone just makes themselves, let's say you're surrounded by a bunch of weirdos, you all normalize being weird. And that's how extremists form. So censorship actually helps drive extremism.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for explaining that, because I never, like, people don't explain that, especially like the news stations don't explain that, Yeah.
So you got to remember, if you support censorship, be it intentionally or not, you're actually supporting extremism, because, again, the moment you shine light on bad ideas, you'll take care of the bad idea. When you kick people off a platform, they go off and form their own little groups of weirdos thinking weird stuff. And this happens on the right-hand side of politics and the left-hand side of politics. So it's not. I just want to say it's enough. Yes, I'm a right winger, but I'm not being tribal when I'm saying this.
Absolutely, you have a total it's a freedom of speech and opinion you have, and we have to find a solution to stop these miserable people going and attacking mosques, churches, Buddhists, all of that. Like, it's out of control now, especially with the coronavirus. Now we're going to be on a lockdown. We're on a lockdown officially today. There's going to be a lot of crazy people out there that are going to do a lot of crazy crap. And you know what? I can't thank the politicians here in Canada and the States who are doing much as they can to control this virus. We can't just keep everything open, let everything just spread, kill people. We just can't do that, And I know businesses are dying. I understand businesses are dying. But again, we got to control this virus. And this is a new norm for now, but things will go back to its normal. But it's called patience. If we all could be, Australians, we would be fine. I was listening to this doctor on TikTok. It said 20 days, zero cases, because they all listened, they all followed the instructions, and they were fine. That's why I love Australians, and Australians are the best people, seriously.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Just on that note, though, I'm all for controlling the virus. However, just locking down people forever.
No, I don't mean locking down. No.
You got to be careful that the cure is not worse than the poison itself.
Absolutely, like the masks. I'm not a big fan of them myself, but I wear them, But some people have them in the car, like they're paranoid.
On that note, I think the masks are fine, right? I don't know if there were mandatory masks, I have no problem doing mandatory masks. But I'll tell you the problem that I have is shutting down businesses and shutting down people's lives. That I've got a problem with, because
I do too.
If the government walks in and says you can no longer work and support yourself, and we're going to shut you down, that government needs to pay your salary, and they're not.
I disagree. I absolutely disagree. I think what you said, I agree with, but I disagree with shutting the whole country down. I mean, shut the country down, have limited people, but the small businesses are dying out, man. The small businesses are dying out. People are dying on the street. There's homeless people everywhere. People tell me, "Oh, money's not everything," but you need to survive. You need to have family. You have to have food on your table. You got to have a roof on top of your head. You keep doing this, we're in trouble.
The people that say money's not everything are the people who've got lots of money.
Okay.
Yeah, of course, money's not everything to them because they got $1 million in the bank. They don't care, right? They don't care. And this kind of brings back the whole. The politics you're seeing of the day, you're seeing right-wing populism, which I'm obviously a big subscriber to, if you listen to what I'm saying, versus the traditional, left-wing elitism. And you're seeing these two forces in the world collide, right? And again, I'm about politics for the people, not politics for the powerful.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. Yeah. You think eventually this virus, it's going to be you live, you die, or they're just going to keep shutting it down? What do you think? What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think I'll give an Australian answer. I can talk to the Australian side with more credibility. It's very hard for me. Again, I'm Australian talking American. I'll stick to more Australian here. The Australian government, I think, is handling it in a very reasoned, balanced sort of manner. They are doing lockdowns here and there on a small, localized level, which I'm all for. I get it. Like, if there's an outbreak in an area, I'm all for a lockdown there, like localized lockdowns. They put in a few annoying but necessary travel restrictions. I'm all for that, right? I'm all for that. I think the Australian government's done a good job, and they're getting out the vaccine. Granted, not as fast as the Americans, but they're working very hard on the vaccine to get it out within the system that we have, right? We have a few more checks and balances, unfortunately, compared to North America. But what I'm saying is that I think either extreme is not good. Just taking the extreme of let the virus run its course is not a good thing. But locking down the whole country is, again, I've developed the view that extreme, not Australia, but extreme lockdowns create more problems than the virus would by itself. I've come to develop that viewpoint.
There's more problems. I absolutely agree with you. I can't thank our leaders here, especially in Canada, our Premier Doug Ford. He said, the virus is just out of control. You have to shut it down. Now, a lockdown, I mean, grocery stores are still open. Pharmacies are still open, but like places to go eat are closed down. You can order online. You can have Uber Eats. That's fine. But to go into restaurants or not. And that's when I said to myself, you know what? If we could all just listen to our leaders. Just listen for 1 month straight. Everything would be normal, like Australia. Going back to your point, you know. So we just have so many people who are opposite of things. I wish just everybody we could move to Australia and we could all listen to you guys. You know, simple as that. We got a few minutes left, but it's that time of year. You know, like I think 2021 will be a better year. I don't think it'll be the best year, but I think it'll be a better year than 2020. I believe so. You know, I got hope up there. What do you think? You think it'll be?
I'm going to give an answer that no one's going to like, but a lot of people will agree with me. I think 2021 will actually be a worse year than 2020, right? I think it'll be worse.
Yeah.
However, to overcome that, we need to become stronger and smarter as people so we have a good experience.
Okay. You think it's...
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you one of the reasons why is in 2020, you've emptied out everyone's savings. You've cleaned out the governments. You've cleaned out a lot of corporates and you've cleaned out a lot of individuals. You've now got this new poor underclass who aren't going to have money for food and equipment and necessities coming up in 2021. We're seeing that in Australia. So this is the new underclass that you have. And society, and you're seeing this in America, societies become very unstable when you have a huge poor underclass. That creates an unstable society.
Okay.
And for example, I come from a Middle East, I'm Australian, but I'm a proud Middle Eastern Australian. I come from a Middle Eastern background.
What's your Middle Eastern background? If I don't mind you.
Iran.
I'm Lebanese.
Oh, I'm good for you, man. I thought you were a bit of a... I should have figured that out. Silly me. Anyway.
No, usually Lebanese. If I don't get Lebanese, they call me Italian all the time.
Okay, well, peace be upon you is all I can say, brother. But what I was going to say, though, is I can say so you're a Lebanese guy. The Middle East has always been highly unstable due to the huge poor underclass. That's why it's always been such an unstable, dangerous place. You've got this huge poor underclass being ruled over by, often despotic rulers. And hence it's an unstable situation, which is why that's why in some countries you have a coup like every 18 months.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to be more smarter, like you said. We got to come together and we got to find a solution. Locking the country down for now is a good solution. Small businesses are dying out, but we got to control this virus here, especially.
Well, the government should pay for those small businesses. For every small business that gets down, the government should pay.
The $2,000 a month thing, I really like that idea, and I think the United States of America, I think President Trump wants that idea of $2,000. I think it's per person or per family, and I hope that goes through. I hope it goes through.
Where I disagree, it should be $2,000 a month. Not $2,000 up front.
That's what I mean, $2,000 a month.
I thought it was $2,000 up front. I thought it was just a one-off.
Month? No, I think $2,000 a month. No.
Oh, is it? Oh, I'm sorry, President Trump. If you're doing $2,000 a month, I'm right with you.
Thank God. Myself, What'd you say?
No, I don't know. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
I'm so glad that I have you on the show. Make me smile, make me laugh. It's about time to have some smiles on people's faces, especially today. We're quiet now, huh? Got some.
No, I've got a little girl who's over there looking at me, and she's about to do some crazy stuff. So I'm like, ooh, watch out.
Can you see the view at all? Is the view nice over there?
Oh yeah, sure. I'm in my parents' backyard, so nothing too exciting. Oh, come on. Actually,
I love gardens myself. My grandmother loves gardens as well.
Oh, there we go.
Let's see. Let me put that bigger. That is nice. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. I really like that. Your mom must like flowers, huh?
And I'm sitting out on the... Actually, it makes it hot on my PC. I'm using my PC just sitting out on the veranda right now at my parents' house. So there you go.
Nice.
There we go. Got it.
Well, Edwards, it's been more... Do you have any questions for me or for the viewers out there?
I just want to say, Joe, I've loved this discussion, and our viewers are beautiful and sexy people, and I love our viewers so much. You're amazing. If you've watched this long, I just want to say I think you're pretty cool.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And you're a great guy. And you know what? Last thing before I go, you are a sexy pinata. God bless you, brother.
Oh, my God. To a fellow hot leb Middle Eastern guy, right back at you, Joe.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you after the show. Stay happy, man. Keep smiling. Edward Z from Australia. Thank you, guys. My beautiful people, this is a show to remember for a very long time. I always say believe in yourself. Have hope in yourself. Believe in the mighty God. Anything is possible. Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation. Today I learned a lot. Today it felt like I was in a classroom in front of 30 to 40 students with a teacher up there. Today I felt like everything was back to normal. Hearing a professor, I'm going to call him, hearing an amazing human being, a sexy pinata who understands everything in this world, especially in Australia. This is the first Australian who has came on my show. And you know what? I will never, ever forget this day. This is history for Booni and for the Booni believers out there. So folks, before I leave tonight, if people haven't seen this video, please go rewatch it. Listen to every word what Edward Zeed had to say. Go on his page. I will, in a bit, I'll put his page down there. You can go and check him out. Subscribe to him. Connect to him on LinkedIn. Things are going to get better. You listen to a guy like this, anything is possible. I love you all. Stay safe. Be happy. And once again, respect women 110%. So guys. Thank you, folks. We'll see you next Saturday.